Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I had to make another trip to the doctor recently, and that is an additional expense in your budget and something you should be aware of. I've found that many tourists, and especially people who stay here longer term, will end up going to a doctor sooner rather than later. And a lot of times it has to do with respiratory type issues, coughing. And one doctor told me he treats a lot of foreigners because they're not used to the higher humidity, constantly higher humidity, and that generally runs, my experience, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90%. My issue this time actually happened like a day after the Sinulog Festival here in Cebu City, and I developed a rash on my neck, and it started moving up to my chin a little bit, and I had gotten some paint on my face and my neck during the Sinulog festivities. There's a lot of paint being thrown around, splattered on people, and people come up and slap a bunch of it on your face if they can, on your arms. Anyway, I thought that it was probably a reaction from that paint, some sort of sensitivity to that, and so I didn't pay much attention to it for a couple of days, and it got worse. And about 4 days later, I decided, after trying to treat it myself, I tried to dab it with vinegar. I tried a number of different things and didn't get better. I decided I better go see a doctor. And so I went down here to this Changhua Hospital, relatively new Changhua modern hospital in Mandaue City, right next to Cebu City, not very far from SM Mall, and about 2 blocks from Park Mall, so it makes it pretty convenient. The one nice thing about hospitals in the Philippines is you don't have to go to a general practitioner. You can go directly to a specialist. And I was here on a Saturday, so I suspect there were fewer doctors in. I went to outpatient. They directed me to the receptionist. She looked at a sheet of available doctors, gave me a name, and it turned out to be a kidney specialist, actually, in the Medical Arts Building, which is right next to the main hospital. And coincidentally, I had a friend go there about a week or two earlier for cough, I believe, or maybe sleeping pills. He's having a hard time adjusting here in the Philippines. Anyway, that's the way it goes, and a lot of these doctors most probably work at different hospitals, different clinics, at different times. I think the hours, I got here relatively early. I think the hours for this doctor were like 9 until 1, something like that. But I was earlier than that, and she was running late because she was taking care of business at another hospital, another clinic. And there were a number of people there before me. Generally, it's first come, first served. There are some doctors that do take appointments, and I'll tell you about one a little later here, because I end up going to see a second doctor a couple weeks later. Anyway, she looked at what I had, and she thought maybe I had chicken pox. Could be a couple of different things, but she gave me a prescription for antibiotics, something called Amoclav. I think it's amoxicillin with something else that helps it work better. And that cost me, for 14 days, 2 a day, 1 gram a piece, so pretty heavy duty stuff. 1 gram per pill. 1,000 milligrams. 14 of those cost me 71 pesos a piece, $1.42 a piece, U.S. A total of 994 pesos, or $19.88, based on 50 pesos to the U.S. dollar. She also gave me some antiviral cream, very, very small tube, for 703 pesos, or $14.06. The doctor's visit cost me 400 pesos, or about $8 US. I knew when I went down here that they did not have a dermatologist, which I would have preferred to see because I had been here, I don't know, about a year ago or so looking for a dermatologist, and they referred me to their older hospital, which is near Fuente Osmeña Circle, in Cebu City. But I thought that I could probably take care of my issue here, and so I got my prescription. I started taking them. My rash started clearing up, and I thought I had it all taken care of. After those 14 days, a couple days after I quit taking that, finished up all that antibiotics, my rash started coming back again. By the way, this seems to be fairly typical of doctors' offices in hospitals that I've been in. Relatively small waiting room inside, and a number of rooms where the doctor does their consultation. There is seating on the outside in the hallway that is generally not air conditioned. They've got windows open on either end of the hallway, so hopefully there's a little bit of breeze coming through there. It just depends on how hot the day is, how hot it is inside. So I did some research online, and I decided to go to Cebu Doctors University Hospital in Cebu City, this one right here. About 3 years ago, I had gone there because I was staying at a hotel not very far from there, and I had an infection on my leg, and the maid at the hotel I was staying at said, "Sir, you need to go see a doctor. Your leg is getting all swollen up." There again, I tried to self-medicate, and I was using, I was putting garlic on it. I was looking for Epsom salts, which are almost impossible to find in the Philippines. I finally found some a year later at S&R store. This is down near Fuente Osmeña Circle. It's a large hospital. Many of the buildings around the hospital are also medical type buildings. So they gave me, went in there again to reception. They gave me a sheet of the various doctors, and I think there was like 7 dermatologists, and different hours they're here. Some hours they're at different locations, different clinics. So I found one, and I had to wait about an hour and a half for her to show up because I was early. There were a couple people ahead of me who did have appointments, and she looked at it and even laid me on a table and looked at it through a magnifying device, and it turns out that I have something similar to what a kid has, where you break out with acne type things, and it was on my neck, especially my right side. I asked her what caused it, and she said there was a number of things that could set it off, and sometimes toothpaste can set it off, as a matter of fact, and I didn't change toothpaste, but I have started using some Listerine, like a 6-in-1 solution, and I suspect maybe that is what set it off. So anyway, she prescribed me something else. She said, no, those other pills really weren't going to do much for me, although they did seem to have some positive effect. She said that the cream wasn't going to be effective for what I had. She prescribed me an antibiotic, doxycycline, 100 milligram capsule, brand name Doxin, I think. 30 capsules, 1 a day in the morning after breakfast, it says. And then some kind of sulfur solution, a resorcine sulfur solution, 1 bottle. That cost me 500 pesos, about 10 US dollars. And the 30 Doxin pills cost me 2,781 pesos for those 30 pills, or about $55.62. That dermatologist, the office call was 600 pesos. about 12 US dollars. So all that added up, the first prescription was $41.94. Second one 55.62. Then you add in the doctor's visit charges, and it comes to a total of $109.56 US dollars. The point of the story, that's not a lot of money to take care of a medical issue, but it is a percentage of a person's budget. If you're on a very tight budget, that is a lot bigger chunk than if you've got substantial amounts to spend. You should include those kind of costs in your budget when you're thinking about going anywhere, whether you're in your home country or traveling overseas. Traveling overseas can be a little bit of a hassle depending upon the country. If it's a country that doesn't speak very much English, that can be an issue. There are some hospitals, I think Thailand, oftentimes charges foreigners more than they charge the locals. I don't think that happens so much here in the Philippines. I've heard that it occasionally happens in Vietnam. Different hospitals do that type of thing. But you should put it in. I list about $50 a month for medical type things, anything from over the counter to going to see a doctor. I've met many foreigners here in the last 3 years, and many of them, if they come down with a cough, and you know, you're in a different environment. There are different bugs, different issues here. And I suggest that you bring, if you have favorite medications from home, you bring those with you. I generally I buy a fair amount of allergy pills, everything from Loratadine, which is like Claritin brand, to I bought some Zyrtec, which they call Alnix over here. It's a cetirizine, and those are for allergies. And I believe that they cost more here than they do in the U.S. in general. Thank you for watching. Please like, please share the video, please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and we'll see you next time.